What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and ever since I made this channel, there has been one simple little message that I constantly try to drive home for everyone. I try to hammer it in people's heads. Now, if you know what that message is, pause this video really quick and let me know down in the comments below. But the message is a rather simple one. It's simply to pay attention to the timing of things. This is something that I've been preaching way back since the Gabby Petito case. Because if you want to better understand any news story, paying attention to the timing of things will always help. You know, when you're looking at a news story, you need to try to connect the dots. Look at the chain of events and the timing of those events. Look at other events that are happening around the story, and then you can form a solid prediction of what's to come next. Or at the very least, you can kind of know where this story is going if you really pay close attention to the timing of things. One other thing that I have noticed throughout my life is that these big, crazy events, like these catastrophic events and stuff like that, there's always warning signs out there. Now, are these warning signs coincidences sent by the universe? Or is it predictive programming? Warning signs put out there by the government or the powers that be just to mock us or to see how many of us are really paying attention to what's going on around us. I'm not sure how many of you all have been following my coverage of the train derailment chemical spill out in East Palestine, Ohio. But before that train derailment, there were many signs that something like that was going to happen to that town. Months before the train derailment, a movie released on Netflix. In that movie, a chemical train derails in the same exact town that it really derailed in real life. They even hired extras to work on the movie from East Palestine. So the people of East Palestine starred in a movie about a chemical train derailment in East Palestine, and then 2 months later, a real train derailment happened. And weeks before the derailment happened, the government decided to issue this digital ID program, this experimental health program to track the people's health of East Palestine, Ohio. Out of everywhere in America, they chose East Palestine, this place that most of us didn't even know existed. And I beat myself over the head sometimes because if I was paying attention, because it's hard, you never really know where these situations are happening. But if I knew about that Netflix movie, if I knew about that digital ID program before the train derailment, then I probably would have known that something bad was going to happen to that town. Unfortunately, I didn't know about that stuff until after the derailment. And I had to connect the dots and see that, I don't know if this is one big coincidence or if this is predictive programming or what, but there were definitely signs pointing towards the fact that something bad was going to happen in that town. Now, I want to bring you all another story that seems to be a warning for what may happen soon in the future. And there's so many different little warning signs that I've been connecting the dots to over the past couple of months. And this right here really makes me feel kind of uneasy simply because I am paying attention to the timing of things. If this news story were to have come out 5 years ago, I maybe wouldn't even care. But now, knowing everything that I know that's going on in the world, this story really sticks out to me. Apparently, 50 U.S. senators were issued an emergency satellite phone yesterday. They were issued this phone in case of an attack. In case of an attack on our power grid or a cyber attack, that knocks out electricity and communications in America. Now, like I said, if you heard this news story and it was a one-off, you might be like, okay, all right. But you have to pay attention to the timing of things. Look at what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. We're on the brink of something major. You look at Taiwan and China. And then I have to look back at the fact, another news story I reported to you all recently, that recently in Houston, they were conducting tests about a possible nuclear attack. Now that brought me right back to before the lockdowns and the pandemic, about how they were having these big seminars and meetings about a virus outbreak, and then 2 months later, a virus outbreak happens. There are many things happening around our country right now that leads me to believe that we're preparing for a nuclear attack or a major attack on U.S. soil. Not only are we preparing for it, but we're taking steps that we have never taken before. U.S. senators have been here well before I was born, well before you were born, and they're going to be here well after we're gone. Why now? After decades and decades of decades, now and only now, have y'all come to the point that you're issuing these satellite phones in case of an emergency attack that I feel like you all may already know is coming in the future. Let's go ahead and dive into this article and figure out what in the heck is going on here. Amid growing concerns of security risks to members of Congress, more than 50 senators have been issued satellite phones for emergency communication. People familiar with the measures say the devices are a part of a series of new security measures being offered to senators by the Senate Sergeant at Arms, who took over shortly after January 6th. The satellite phone technology has been offered to all 100 senators. I want to pause right there. I have not seen any evidence that all 100 U.S. senators have been offered this satellite phone. I know only 50 of them got it. So that's concerning for me. Why are half of the U.S. senators given the satellite phone and the other half are not? I don't think that if this is a protocol or something, I believe that all senators should get this phone. You shouldn't pick and choose. So I'm wondering, was this a choice from the other 50 senators to not take these phones, or were they simply not given to them? You know, I'm wondering, is there favoritism going on here? You want some senators to be plugged in and have communications with the outside world when something happens, and the others you don't want to know what's going on? It's really weird, but only half of U.S. senators have this phone, and that's a cause for concern, in my opinion. In testimony before the Senate Appropriations Committee last month, Senate Sergeant at Arms Karen Gibson said satellite communication is being deployed to ensure a redundant and secure means of communication during a disruptive event. Gibson said the phones are a security backstop in the case of an emergency that takes out communications in part of America. Federal funding will pay for the satellite airtime needed to utilize the phone devices. A Department of Homeland Security advisory said satellite phones are a tool for responding to and coordinating government services in the case of a man-made or natural disaster that wipes out communications. So my question here, ladies and gentlemen, is why now? Why, after all of this time, are you starting to set up measures, security measures, that should have been set up years ago? I was under the understanding that, senators already had stuff like this set up, but no. It wasn't until yesterday that they started to receive these satellite phones. And like I said, if this was just a one-off news story, I wouldn't pay much attention to it. But considering the fact that the war in Ukraine is getting worse every day, it's escalating every day, We're now going to send fighter jets over there. It's going to get ugly, considering the fact that we have China just patiently waiting to invade Taiwan at any given time, considering the fact that for the first time in my lifetime, major U.S. cities are starting to conduct huge possible nuclear attack responses. It just all seems weird. Also, yesterday night, I brought you all a story about something that happened yesterday. Yesterday, there was this weird situation that happened where online, this AI, artificial intelligence, fake generated photo was passed around of an attack at the Pentagon. The mainstream media in America and mainstream media outlets all over the world picked up on this photo and reported that the Pentagon was under attack. It all happened in a span of about 3 to 5 minutes yesterday. It's like the world went into a quick panic, and then just as quickly as it started, it went away, and everyone tried to pretend like it didn't happen. But yes, yesterday, for a few moments, there was mass panic that there was an attack on the United States, simply because of a fake image that was shared on Twitter. So considering the fact that that happened basically the same day that you're giving out these government satellite phones in case communications get knocked out, this comes about a month or two after you just conducted these nuclear response training exercises in Texas. It's just all starting to look really weird to me. And if I didn't know any better, I would say that these people are getting prepared for something major to happen on U.S. soil. If you're paying attention to the timing of things, if you're looking at all of these events and you're connecting the dots, it really looks like they are getting prepared for another major event on U.S. soil. So if and when that time comes, you won't be totally caught by surprise if you've been watching my videos. Let me know your thoughts, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I will talk to you all in the next video.